We had one more addition here, I think, since we last talked. So excited to talk about another offensive lineman. And there's going to be people that are really heaping praise on George Barnett. He's done a nice job on the recruiting trail at his position. So another portal ad, and sounds like I was probably set now. I don't know that there's really room for anyone else via the portal.
We actually had huge recruiting news come down just about 90 minutes ago. The number one player in all of high school football and also the number one offensive tackle. So we could play this against what was transpiring at Iowa, let's see, 2 years ago at this time, with, of course, Caden Proctor, the number one, arguably the number one player, the number one offensive tackle for sure, making his choice for Iowa initially. But Jackson Cantwell out of Missouri has chosen to go to Miami, at least for now. And apparently his NIL paycheck is going to come in around $2 million per.
$2 million per?
Yes.
So he could potentially make $8 million to $10 million?
He could. But if he's making $10 million, then they didn't get the guy that they paid for if he's playing past 3 years.
Well,
and certainly, yeah.
But with this day and age of NIL, he's a really good college player, but his draft stock is just average.
Yeah.
Maybe he does stick around and play for $8 million. That's crazy money for an offensive lineman.
Crazy money. And again, number one player in the country out of Missouri.
And who was he committed to someone else initially?
No.
Okay. Who was it that just last week decommitted? Who was one of the top prospects in, was he 26?
USC got a big decommitment of somebody, and I don't know that he flipped. I think he just decommitted. Ohio State had a decommitment recently as well.
Yeah, and this kid at Iowa State, who was actually a Dowling grad, so shout out Caitlin Clark and the Clark family. He's an interesting one because he's got 3 years left. We're talking about George, I think it's pronounced Nahas. All these guys named George now are coming in to play offensive line for Iowa. You got Bryce George from Ferris State, and you got George Nahas. So I could be butchering his name, Mark. I apologize. I do know that he played right tackle at Dowling, pretty much exclusively, at least his senior year. And it's a really good level of football. It's Iowa football, but there's a lot of good players that come out of the state. And I don't know, as far as size-wise, he's transferred from Iowa State, so he was listed at like 6'4", 300 pounds at Iowa State. And, again, without being an offensive lineman, it's hard for me to really see right where I was at with trying to identify talent, especially this kind of talent, where it is a transfer portal kid. He's coming in off scholarship. He's not going to be, my understanding is he's coming in as a walk-on as he was at Iowa State. I don't know. He's projected as an interior guy, but he's got good size for an interior guy and a walk-on. And it's not like Iowa hasn't had walk-ons succeed over the course of Kirk's time at Iowa. So, they need depth there as much as they can get. They lose guys in the NFL. We just saw Mason Richmond signed his rookie contract with the Seahawks. I have not heard about Colby. Perhaps he signed as well, and I just missed it. But hey, Kirk said at his press conference after the final spring practice was up that there were a couple spots up for grabs, and guys like Bryce George, I think he expects Bryce to grab one of those. But there's still a lot of work to do this camp up front.
You wonder what the incentive for a player like this is. This guy's a walk-on. He obviously wants to stay close to home. He's not necessarily, I'm sure he's looking for playing time, of course, but it's not like that's the obvious path. It's not like he went from Iowa State to an FCS school.
Yeah, and I've not, full disclosure, I've not yet spoken with George. Would love to. Central Iowa kid. He's probably, I suppose I could track him down here in Ames since he's here. But my guess is maybe Iowa didn't have room for him before. And with all the guys that have left and now I don't know that Iowa's backpedaling on the trying to trim the roster down thing, but like that is still a thing. Like there's certainly less clarity now about whether Iowa's going to have to hit that scholarship limit number by the time we hit July. So, they may be able to take a few guys either back or guys that they didn't have room for previously. Again, as a non-scholarship guy, my understanding, according to Iowa State, their bio for George, his dad was a good baseball player for Iowa back in the day, and he actually ended up with the Braves organization. Now, to what extent did he succeed with Atlanta? I have no idea, but he's got the Iowa Hawkeye roots, so I'm not shocked by it. Also, I don't know that we've talked about this. Did we talk about Cade Borad here a couple of weeks ago after the spring practice?
I remember that name.
So Cade Borad is the young man who is originally from Southeast Polk, ended up going to North Dakota. He was really good at North Dakota. I believe he won some all-conference honors and started at center in 2023. Was Missouri Valley Conference All Newcomer of the Year, or maybe he was All Newcomer team, but he was really good in 2 years at North Dakota, just one playing. Transfers to Iowa, then gets the offseason OWI. And I've not confirmed this through Iowa, but let me just double check. I don't believe he's on the roster anymore. This got brought up again. We just didn't get a chance to ask Kirk this after, but yeah, I'm scrolling through the roster. Of course, you want to look for guys maybe having a number change, but yeah, he is not listed on the current roster. So very unfortunate. I don't know. I know he was, if I'm not mistaken, Kirk released a statement after he got arrested, basically said he'd be suspended. But you hope those guys like that recover and come back and compete. And he was a prospect they liked. Again, I don't think he was on scholarship when he got here, but he was, all Missouri Valley Conference newcomer team in 1 year at one real year at North Dakota. That's the best FCS conference in the country. So that is frustrating. But I thought we should mention that as well, because there's another guy who was an interior prospect, presumably gone. So that may be part of the reason why they wanted to nab one more guy and a non-scholarship player for the inside of that line.